Yeah, that's it. Okay, sige. Thank you, Miss Felm, and of course, Joseph, for sharing how you got your money principles or money habits that I hope a number of you can also learn from. So, for those who have not, or have a limited knowledge about how to do personal finance, I'm gonna share to you my presentation for a while. Share screen. Ay, nasa last part. Okay. So for today, we're gonna learn about investing basics. Okay. So as what Miss Joanne has relayed to you, I am affiliated with True Life UK. It's a life insurance company based in UK but has an affiliates or subsidiaries here in Asia, including the Philippines. So today we're gonna learn about investing basics. Miss Jo, you just tell me if ever nawawala ako kasi I cannot actually trace. I cannot see if I'm okay or not when it comes to my internet. Anybody, you can raise your hand if ever you have questions in this show and can prompt me if you have questions. Okay? If that's good for you, then can I see some like sign? Thumbs up. Like sign. Ang tanda-tanda ko. Like sign. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's gonna start about how you're gonna do with your finances if ever you will going to earn your first salary or first income, because not everybody are going to be employed after graduation. I know a number of you might think already of starting your own business or putting up your own business or having some partnership with friends. You can have goods, you can sell consumer goods, you can have services depending on what is your expertise. When it comes to choices on, of course, on how you're going to do with your talents and skills after you graduate, I think that's for another session. But for today, um, what we're going to learn is more on, ano ba to? Admit. Miss Jo, ikaw na bahala sa waiting room at saka sa chat group.
Yes, ako
Okay
na.
lang. Thank you. Sige. But today we're gonna learn more on what is really happening when it comes to investing. What are the instruments or what are the financial platforms that I can go into to ensure that my hard-earned money is going to give me the benefits that I intend it would give me in the future. Okay? Um, I hope that you will not confuse yourself when it comes to investing, saving, and trading. When we talk about saving, it's really you putting your money on the banks or on your piggy banks at home. You are not expecting it to really grow. So basically, you're just putting it aside. If you put it in your piggy bank at home, you know that your 10 pesos is going to be 10 pesos after 1 year. It's still 10 pesos. If you put it in a bank, you know that your 10 pesos is going to earn. Anybody here who knows the interest rate of your money if you put it in a regular savings account, Fel? Do you know the interest of your money? You can unmute yourself. How much is the interest of your money in the bank?
Wala ko na-check, miss, pero makita ko siya sa passbook ko.
Okay. Sige, thanks.
Ma-check. Thank you, miss.
Okay, so for everybody's information, it ranges from 0.1 to 5%. If you put it in a regular savings account, that means if you have 100 pesos, it earns 12 centavos. Okay, in a year. So that's the growth of your money if you put it in the bank. But if you on the regular savings, if you put it on a time deposit, it can go as high as 3% in a year. Okay, so that is really savings. When we talk about investing, that means you are putting aside money on a specific instrument or other financial platforms wherein you are expecting your money to grow steadily or significantly in a number of years. So when it comes to investing, hindi pwede na you are thinking na this year I'm gonna have 10 times of the money that I put aside. That is a wrong perception or wrong notion of investing. That is not investing. What investing can give you is a long-term return. So that means it's at least 5 years. If if your goal is to be, if you need the money in the next, if you need the money in the next 5 years, so that means you have a short-term goal. So you need to put your money on instruments that give you higher return. If you are expecting your money to give you returns in the next 10 years, so it's okay to put your money on those on instruments that are low also in risk, because that's going to be a long-term investment for you. Okay, so that's really investing. It's for the long term. When it comes to trading, so this is a different one. This is very common nowadays. There are so many platforms in the social media that tells you that you can invest, or kaya lang they're saying invest, but basically it's not invest. It's more on you trading kasi you put your money and then you buy and sell it. So that means it's trading. It's gonna give you big returns, but basically you have to really put a number of hours of looking into the performance of the market. So that's the difference of those three. So for today, what we're gonna talk about is really more about investing basics. Okay, so that's the introduction. Okay, so I guess I'm done with saving versus investing. So yon, when you save, you're just putting aside your money in aside, but you are not really thinking of having appreciation of your money. But you have to think that if you are saving, hindi po pwede na hindi mapuno si piggy bank before you break it. Because there are a number of people na konti pa lang yung laman, they break it. You have to remember if this is really what you intend to do, which is to really save. Like for example, you want to save for your marriage. Grabe. Pag-graduate pa lang, hopefully wala sang may mapakasalda yon. But if you are like, for example, um, saving for buying your car, your first car, then you have to ensure that wherever you put your money, it is going to be full first before you break that piggy bank, or that's a saving account that you want. Hindi pwede na i-withdraw mo siya na hindi pa siya puno. Investing naman, as you can see, in the long run, your money is growing. Of course, the market is not going to look like this. The market will go up and down, but basically on the law of averaging, if you have taken that up in your finance subject, then you know that in the law of averaging, the market may rise and fall, but eventually in the long run, it's gonna have an upward trend. So that's why we really encourage investing, because it beats the law of averaging. Okay, so why are we gonna invest? Because number one, we want to protect ourselves from inflation. Anybody here who can share? Anybody here who knew or who knows what is our inflation last 2021? Miss Jo, may extra point ini kung kabalo siya pila ang inflation rate sang 2021. Pilang inflation. Pilang inflation naton class no. Anybody?
3.6, Miss.
Sinuna siya kay hagaan kasi points ni Miss Jo. Sino to? Hindi ko makita.
May frase.
Can you identify yourself? Hindi ko siya makita.
May
Miss Jo,
frase.
Miss Jo, clear ba sa imo? Hindi ko gets.
Medyo garbled lang siya.
So that's 3.6%.
6%, Miss.
Do you all agree? Do you all agree? Can we see some thumbs up?
Sa chat box.
May nag-answer sa chat box. Okay. Ano answer nila? 3.6. Wow. Okay. Very good. So may ara kita sang may points sa klase niya. So as you can see, inflation last year was 3.6. But basically when we are averaging it from on the average, inflation in the Philippines ranges from 3 to 5% on a yearly basis. So what is basically inflation? I hope since you are still in school and this is being taught naman in school, it's just the purchasing power that we have when it comes to our consumer goods, no? So like for example, right now, your 100 pesos can buy, I think there's somebody. There's somebody speaking. Sorry. You just prompt me. Hindi ko kasi makita. Yan. So if you are buying your not 100. If you have 1,000 pesos and you can buy that with 2 plastic bags of grocery this last 2020, in 2021 you can only buy 1 plastic bag with the other one siguro half full na lang because of inflation, because of the purchasing power. I'll excuse myself for a while. Sandali. Have to mute. Yan. So I hope everyone is clear that our money is losing if we just let it stay at financial instruments or if you put it in the piggy bank. That means if you have 100 pesos in your piggy bank right last 2021, it lost 3.6% of its value if you did not put it in any instruments that grew with inflation. It's very good, Fel. I don't discourage you to put your money in the bank because banks are very important because the money is very liquid in the bank. Anytime you need it, you can access your money if you put it in the bank. It's just that when you invest your money, although I'm going to discuss it later on, what are the differences? But basically, when you put your money in the bank, the pro is it's very accessible. You are very liquid. If you need it, you can just access at any time. But the cons naman if you put your money in the bank is that it increases in value, not incongruent with inflation. So like for example, in 2021, the inflation is 3.6, but your money grew 0.125% in the bank. So perde kong daog ang imo money. Perde siya. Naperde siya. Yeah. If your goal is to appreciate the value of your money, but if your goal is to have easy access for your money, then it's okay to put it in the bank. But how much? Anybody here who knows how much is the limit of the banks na insured ang imo money with Bangko Sentral? Pila ang limit sang aton nga money sa bank na insured siya ni Bangko Sentral? What is the maximum amount of savings that you have na insured siya? Anybody?
500,000.
Very good, Edward. So that means if you want to save your money in the bank, the limit is 500,000. Beyond that, you have to look for ways wherein you can really grow your money. Second reason why we need to invest is we want to have exponential growth. So ang exponents, medyo budlay siya intindihon. But basically, this is one of the best formula ever that was really invented, no? The compounding interest rate, which is later on we're gonna discuss as well. And are you learning so far?
Yes, Miss.
Thank you. So that's the next slide is basically more on the inflation in the Philippines. Okay, the source is BSP. This is from Bangko Sentral. So as you can see, no, the data that BSP has is until 2016. This is prior to the pandemic, but as you can see in 2008, it grew as high as 8.3. So that's how much your money is losing if you are not putting it in any financial instrument. But if your financial instrument is in the market, for sure your money has beat this inflation of 8.3. Okay? Yon. This is the best formula that was ever invented, no? The compounding interest. So like for example, simple interest lang, if you have 1,000 pesos, if it is at 10% annual interest, that means it will earn 100 pesos. But with compounding interest, your 1,000 that earned 100 will have an interest of 110 and so on and so forth. So that's why it's very good that you do invest your money because it gives you the power of compounding. Yeah. So basically, that's where your money is boosted if there is compounding already. Yeah, para siyang multivitamins or booster shots that we have because you are earning from your earnings. And hindi lang siya from the original money that you have, but basically this one is earning from your earnings already. Okay, so anybody here who has knowledge of the most common financial assets? We know that there are the most common are really bonds and stocks. So anybody here who is familiar with bonds? Nobody. Stocks naman. Wala. Sige. We'll move forward. I'm gonna show you what the difference of these two are. When it comes to bonds, bonds are really the borrower or the lender saying, or the borrower saying, I owe you, sorry. The borrower is saying, I owe you, because this is a financial instrument which proves that there is the relationship of being a borrower and a lender. So, kung sino ang nag-issue sang bond, siya na ang nagahulam, siya ang borrower. Kag sino ang nagauyat sang bond, siya na ang lender. So, bali, may obligation to pay sang interest, what we call coupon, ang imo nga issuer sa imo nga isa para sa imo nga ikaw ang lender. So regularly may dapat pinahatag siya nga interest sa imo until sang maturity date. Okay, is that clear? Medyo na-confuse ka mo sa first ko nga statement. So bonds meaning may hulam ako sa imo. So kung may ginauyatan ikaw nga papel nga bond, so meaning ang person nga nag-issue sang bond nga na or ang person or ang institution nga nag-offer sang bond nga da, nagahambal siya nga may balayaran siya sa imo nga interest regularly. Okay, until such time nga mag-mature ang imo nga bond. Okay, so amo ning tsura sang bond certificate. So si borrower nag-promise siya sa lender nga may ara siya sang ginhulam na amount, tapos after pila ka number of years ma-mature, pero every year may ginabayad siya sa imo na interest. So, sa coupon naton, sa bond naton, may ara kita lender, so siya na ang nagkwa sang bond, ang borrower siya na ang nag-issue sang bond, ang principal isang amount, tapos may ara sang date, tapos ang rate kung pila iya bayaran regularly. So amo ni ang ginbayaran mo, amo ni ang amount. So tawag sa iya principal. Maturity, number of years. So like for example, 10 years na siya. So every year may 10%, may 10%, may 10%. So as you can see, sa year 1, ang iya nga 1 million nag 1.1, pagka year 3 nag 1.21 because 10% siya every year ang iya nga interest nga kinahanglan ihatag sa iya nga holder sang bond. If there are questions, you can stop me off, Ma'am Zo. Okay, so ang coupon rate basically is the interest rate nga kinahanglan ibayaran asang issuer sa holder sang bonds. Okay, so sino ang mga borrower or sino ni ang mga naga-issue? For example, gusto sang gobyerno magpatindog sa eskwelahan, may project ang gobyerno. So, mahambal ang government, kinahanglan ko fund. Kinahanglan ko 10 million. So, si government, may issue na siya sang bond. Tapos, pag issue yan na sang bond, pwede nga another government institution ang ma-lend sa iya sang money, pwede nga another company, or pwede nga ikaw. ikaw nga ordinary citizen or household, pwede ikaw kabakal siyang bond nga na alin sa government. Kami ara siya project. So ikaw na karon ang lender tapos si government ang borrower. Kaya nagulam siya sang kwarta nimo. Ang imo nga proof na may hulam si government sa imo is amo na siya ang bond certificate. Yon, para makapatindog siya school. So kung ang balon niya sa imo after 10 years niya ikaw bayaran, so meaning after 10 years at 10%, amo to ang ma-earn siyang imo nga money nga ginpahulam mo sa government. Okay? So basically ang source sang return sang bond amo tong interest mo. This one naman sa currency is, for example, naka-US denominated ang bonds. So that means may ara siya sang interest rate may interest exchanges, may exchange rate may exchange rate differences na amo na siya makaganar ka. Syempre kung magtaas o magpanaog ang dollars, so meaning dira nagagrow imo money. Okay? Yan. So basically, the tip there is, ano ang tip kung gusto mo mag-invest sa bond? Very basic rule on investing is you buy low, you sell high. Okay? Kung ang interest rate is expected to decline, bakal ka. Kasi kung gibakal mo siya, nga tag 100 pesos siya. Or like for example, kung sino na siya ang nagasulat. For example, nagbakal ka nga ang iyang interest is 1%. Nagapanaog, bakal ka. Tapos ibaligya mo siya, magtaas siya. Yan. So basically that's the very elementary rule in investing. You buy low, you sell high. Yan. That's the tip. Galing may mga risk. Siyempre, tanan niya investment, may risk na siya. Hindi siya free of risk. Kung gusto mo wala ka siyang risk, butang may mo imo kwarta sa bangko or sa imo piggy bank sa balay, ara ya wala siya risgo. Amo man na nga ang mga bangko gahatag man sang gamay nga interest rate because of zero to minimal risk sang money mo sa bank until 500,000. Okay? Pero kung magbiyan 500,000, your security there is only until 500,000 pesos. If ever something happens to the bank, what will be returned to you is only until 500,000. Okay? So, the risk of bonds is, like for example, hindi ta kabalo ko ng interest rate sa market manaog, manaog or masaka. Ang inflation naton ti ara siya risk, ang credit risk, no? Kung ang company or ang government nga ginbaklan mo sang or ginbaklan, hindi, nagin pahulam mo sang imo kwarta, stable, gin man nga company or ang gobyerno, syempre kung gobyerno ang ma-issue, that's very stable, no? Liquidity risk, syempre ang risk na hindi mo siya dayon magamit imo money if need mo siya. Exchange rate, this one naman is kung dollar denominated ang bonds. Syempre kung ang dollars magnubo, medyo naganubo man ang imo kwarta, kung magtaas, that's very good for you. Yan. Question so far? I hope that is clear. So we're done with bonds. May question ba, Jo? Wala. Okay.
Quiet sila.
Quiet sila. Gapamati sila. Basi karon pa sila mamangkot. Okay. Next is on stocks. Okay. Basically, ato yan sa bonds, nagpahulam ka kwarta. Sa stocks ya, this is nagbakal ka, maging owner ka sa company. Yan. So this is naman, this is more about equitable ownership, meaning you own a part of the big whole. Okay? So may part ka sa isa ka company nga naga-issue sang stocks. So these are financial assets that represent parts ng isa ka corporation. So you are now an owner of a company. So if you have stocks of Jollibee, SM, Universal Robina, D2, pang very common subong, D2, ang bago lang nagwa sa market is Converge. So yon, if you have invested on those stocks, so that means you are a part owner of that company. These companies are publicly listed companies. Me and your teacher, Miss Joanne, we have visited the Philippine Stock Exchange, no? So This is where sa corporations whose shares are traded in the stock market, you cannot buy a share of stock of a company who is not a member of the stock market or who are not trading in the stock market. So ProLife UK is part of those publicly listed companies that are in the stock exchange. Okay, so the stock market is a physical or virtual venue wherein the buyers and sellers shares their stocks. So virtual lang siya. So pwede man nga physical na. So that is where the Philippine Stock Exchange will come in na. The stock exchange. That's where the regulation and of the stock market is being done and shares are being traded there by investors. So kung may ara ka mo broker, it could be an individual, pwede siya isa ka tawo or pwede siya isa ka firm na nag-charge sa fee or commission for executing buying and selling orders committed by the investor. For example, me, I have shares of stocks with Atram. Atram is with GCash. Anybody here who has GCash? Can you react? Let's see. Anybody who has GCash app? Good, John. Si John may GCash. Yan, very good. Kay, Aimian, of course, Jose, Alexis. Okay, for all those who have GCash, it's very simple to start really investing because I also have some investments in GInvest, and that is an Atram. So Atram is an example of a broker because I have invested stocks with GInvest. I mean, so this is a firm. They charge a fee for executing buy and sell. I really test. I buy and then I tested selling, and it is really good. It's very legit. I have transactions with GInvest. So that's an example of a broker. In Bacolod, do you have a broker, na physical broker? In Iloilo, we have. It's called Regina Capital. You can go there and you can buy specific you can buy shares of stocks of a specific company. Like for example, if you want to buy shares of stocks of Jollibee alone, you can buy it. There's just minimum numbers of shares that you need to buy. Or if you have other companies in mind, so may mga minimum lang sila nga number of shares, but you can buy directly from them. Yan, from the brokers. What are the risks associated with this? For example, there are market risk, especially, for example, nagka-problema, no? Ang market naton medyo recession kita subong, di amo na ang problema naton, the market is really kung tanawon ta hindi siya sunny. Later on you will know. So that's a risk as well that you need to face, no? Liquidity, ti basi ang company nga ginbakal mo hindi gid amo na kadasig mag-issue or magbayad sa imo kung magbaligya ka na sa shares of stocks mo. Political risk, especially with the coming elections, this really affects our inflation, you know. Inflation kasi has a number of factors that affects it, and politics is one of those because regulations when it comes to buying and selling, sometimes governments gives restrictions, or like for example, kung lapit na lang ang election, damo gagwa nga kwarta. So medyo that's where, you know, in economics the buying and selling of course has impact on our inflation. Economic risk, like what I told you before na or a while ago, that really if there's recession, especially with the pandemic, medyo like for example si Jollibee nag down ang business. Kung tanawon ta ko nag-down ang business, so meaning ang value ng company itself nagamay. So kung before you earn 10% from Jollibee, maybe during the pandemic nag-earn ka na lang 3%. So those are some risks. And of course, the industry. For example, sang una, very in ang mga BPOs. Pero during the recession, there are a number of BPO companies nga nag-down. Kaya the BPOs are very strict when it comes to their safety compliance with the COVID. So like for example, may isa lang ka employee ang na-infect sang COVID-19, other departments has to shut down. So may mga, I know of a number of BPOs who closed down. So maybe may mga problema when it comes to the industry. Yun. So the tip, no, ara naman ang mahiwaga nating Bob. Stocks offer superior returns compared with fixed income instruments or deposits. So meaning, mas nami ang balik sa imo kwarta if sa stocks ka ma-invest, but ang risgo mo taas man. Okay. So it really depends sa imo kung ano ang imo kakayanin. Kasi sometimes paisog-isog man siya kung ano ang kaya sang heart mo nga loss. So before you invest your money, if ever you already have something to invest on, you always have to think, kakayanin ko ba nga maperde ang kwarta ko by 10%, 20%? Okay, in the long run ba, pag nag-depreciate ang value sang akon nga stocks investment, okay lang sa akon. Okay, so those are the things na kinahanglan mo panumdumon. But you all balikan mo ang hambal ko a while ago, that basically if you are experiencing losses in the short term, eventually in the future, if you just continue investing, compounding interest will still give you the returns or the benefit that it promises. Okay, the one of the best invention na ang compounding interest. Yan. So, sources of stock returns, there are stocks who gives dividends. Okay? So, may ara. Kita yung nga nagambal, sila may ara. Ginsang ikaw mabaton every quarter, may ara ka mabaton every year. So, may mga amo sila ng klase stocks. May ara naman stocks nga wala siya gahatag dividends, but naga-insure siya, naga-appreciate di siya imo kapital. Okay? Gataas gid siya. Yun. Okay. So, anong difference ang duwa? Ang bonds, may nag-utang sa imo. Ang stocks naman niya, part owner ka. Yan. Amo na ilang difference. Kung sa bonds, may regular ka nga fixed income kung hinambal sa imo, ya 10% na siya. Do ara-ara lang na. Okay, ako magka-problema, that is something iistoryahan nyo sa company or sa government that it really, kung ginhambal sa imo nga 10% ara, din na siya dapat. Sa stocks naman, pwede kang magdaog or pwede ka maperdi. Pwede ka mag-gain, pwede ka mag-lose sa bonds, sa stocks. Okay? Sa bonds, gina-expect mo nga ikaw nga nagpahulam sa government or sa company, mabalik gid ang imo original investment. Pero sa stocks, hindi, wala ka sang assurance. There is no assurance that what you have invested will be returned to you, no, sa amount gid nga gin-invest mo. Like for example, mo kada bulan nag-set aside ko 3,000, so kung 10 years na subong dapat may 360,000 ako. Pero pag check ko sa akong investment, naaara lang siya sa 300,000. So those are the risks that you have really to consider if you want to put your money on stocks. Okay? So, but sa bonds, may ginatawag kita nga restructuring. These are some of the things na pwede obrahon sa government or sa company if ever nagka-problema sila when it comes to payout or during maturity. So may restructuring options, and those are some complicated things na hindi ko na ma-cover dili sa presentation. Okay, sa ano naman, sa stocks and risk is kung mag-close, no? Kung mag-close ang company nga butangan mo or kinbaklan mo stocks. And of course, ang fluctuation natin sa prices sa market. So those are some of the risks associated with the stocks. Okay? So here, ano ang financial opportunities nga may ara sa stocks and bonds? So Ari naman, this is just the cycle of what an investor and a bystander can go through when they invest in stocks or in bonds. So to start with, if you are starting in your investing strategies or in your investing tactics, the very first thing is optimistic ka. Of course, nag-invest ako. I really very hopeful that my money will really grow because I have invested my money. So amo nang pinaka first get. And then after some time, may ara ka pa enthusiasm kag excitement. Gambal ka, wow, nagdako akong fund. Gin-check ko na sa tayon after 1 year. Wow, amazing. Kanami, ang akon 1,000 nag 1,200 na. So kanami, so kung gibutang ko lang siya sa bank, ang 1,000 ko naging 1,001 pesos lang. Minusan pa sa withholding na tax. Kung withdrawon ko na sa pila na lang bilin. Yan. Tapos, after a while, you have euphoria and greed. Wow, kanami, gini. Actually, diri na di ang mga scammer. Sagad na di mga scammer, mga ari ka na diyo. Kung balaan mo mga scam, diri lang na sila galibot-libot. Kaya ginapabatsyag ni nila sa imo nga, wow, nag-invest ko. Tapos, ay, kanami, may returns na ko. Tapos, ara ka, wow, mas taas pa ang ako nakuha kaysa sa gina-expect ko. So, grabe, ginang mo euphoria. Yon. So, kanami, isang feeling, amo ng pinaka-first. Tapos, ang mga bystanders naman, they feel sad. Oh, wala din ko yan wala ko yan nag-invest. Tani, nag-investment ko. Yon. Pero para sa ila, hindi pa bala nila kaya ang risk, no? Tapos, kung ikaw yung nga nag-invest, ginapanumdum mo, hindi ka ganiya maperdiya, daog ganiya basta ga-invest ka. Yon. Amo ng mga feelings. Pero very familiar because I also know my siblings invested on Siyuto. So I really know the feelings that they had. So first pa lang, okay, gid ang Siyuto nga investment kay ginahambal nila. So amo ni mga first feelings. So mo man akong ka-invest ka. Dayon after a while, patsagan mo, hala, nga ang market do nagapanaog. So medyo nakulbaan ka na. Sige lang pang long term man ko yung nga investor. So may ara ka. So nagakulbaan ka. Pagkauli, oh, sige, gidya pa naog. Okay? So ginatanaw mo nga, hala, pila na lang to bilin sa akong investment. So hadlok-hadlok ka na gid. Hasta nga mapanik ka. Hasta nga ma-surrender ka na lang gid. Kag na-depress ka na. Kaya ba mo, oh, ano natabo. Nga wala, nagidya akong investment. Yan. So amo na ang feeling. Tapos sa mga wala nag-invest, sila yahay, salamat, wala ako nag-invest. Okay, wala ako nadula, ang akong na kwarta, nga hard-earned. So, mayo lang wala ako nag-invest. Tapos, ang mga nag-invest hindi sila magpati. Paano nga na-perdi sila? Because, syempre, ang ila ginapanumdum, dapat mag-gain din ko sa investment. But as you can see, ara ka pa lang sa second phase. But as you can see, amat-amat ni Ara Hope, makita mo, hay kanami, do naga-okay na ang market. Until masaka naman siya liwat. Wow, kanami, nasa akong fund, naga-okay na siya. Yon. So, amo ni siya ang cycle na ginaagyan siyang naga-invest. So, when you do that, when you invest in stocks and bonds, these are the normal things na maagyan mo gid na una-una okay ka, then down, tapos ma-hopeful ka, tapos basic mag-okay naman, tapos may ara naman nga down. It's really a roller coaster ride. Amo na siya ang feeling sa naga-invest. But, kasi paano ko ni makuha? Ang nagsulat-sulat naman. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Ano nga katabo sa market? There are 3 market conditions or 3 weather conditions nato no when we invest. There's the sunny, there's the fair, there's the stormy weather no. Basically when sunny ang weather, tsunami ang business no, nagdamo kapatindo, build. Nami aton GDP, gamay ang wala obra, so we have very low unemployment, people are spending, we have a lot to spend. Usually makita natin that what we are really expecting na returns natin is really happening. When the market is fair, medyo so-so lang. So tunga-tunga. Medyo hina ang growth ng aton ng market or sa aton GDP. Wala may nagahulag na business, wala may ginapatindog na bag-o, steady. So reasonable lang unemployment. Tsakto-tsakto lang ang kinaspend sa households, kung ano lang ang kinahanglan, amo lang ang nakatabo. Amo lang ang ginabakal. Tapos there are some occasional nga economic concerns na may ara kita sa market naton. But stormy, I think the stormy happened sa aton in 2008 during sa recession naton no, siya especially nag-umpisa siya sa States to kadamo sang na down gid sa 2008. But as you can see, naka-recover kita in 2019 and 20 during the pandemic. Tiyan mo naman hinabatsagan nato, no? I think this one really happened mga June na. Kasi when the pandemics um, happened December 2019, people are still very hopeful, parang kaya pa, January okay. But when March nga nag-start, may nag-close down until June when everyone expected things to be better, but still the virus continued and persisted on. Stormy gid ang weather natin, very slow. A number of companies even closed. We in Jollibee, we had a number of companies that really closed, so negative ang economic growth, nag-decline ang business, there's unemployment, especially when companies rationalized on their business goals because of, and especially expenses because of the pandemic. Even for us in Jollibee, that we are a big company, we have decreased our manpower. We asked some people to do enforced leave because of, syempre, business conditions. And business will always be a business, no? Tapos people are really budgeting on their groceries and their spending. There are also a number of fiscal and monetary policy easing. For example, naghatag ang government SAP, ano pa, there are a number of assistance given by the government to us because they understand that unemployment is really high during that time. Tapos, when it comes to our economy, there is really uncertainty, no? That's where uncertainty came in. So, amo ni ang aton nga mga weather conditions. Since you already know of a number of options that you can have for your investment, no, which is bonds and stocks, and you know also of a number of market conditions, it's really okay that you do this on your own. But it is going to be very hard to manage your own investments unless you really study on this one. The basic of doing anything, for example, if you go into business or you go into employment, is of course, you know the industry or you know the craft that you have. You are skilled in the craft that you have before you can really do a specific thing. For example, you want to start a business. You graduated as a financial management or ano ba yun ang course? BSBA, for example, BSBA, BS in Business Administration. But you want to start, ano being a business. You want to start a restaurant business, for example. That's very much okay because that's connected to your course. But like for example, you are a doctor, tapos you engage into the business of a restaurant, that is not going to be profitable, or that is not going to give you long-term sustainability of your business because you don't know the business itself or you have not studied it. The same with investing. No? The same with investing. It is something that you really have to study and you really have to know if you are going to do this on your own because you have to manage it. No? So that's why we are here. No, there are companies who takes care of people's money for a specific charge so that people can focus on their craft at the same time give financial planning to those people who really know how to do these things for them. For things to be clear, I want to show to you a number of pooled funds, meaning so we are getting funds from a number of investors, tapos we put it in a specific fund to invest on. No? So we have three types. We have unit investment trust fund. Okay. Anybody here who has heard of UITF? React with the heart. Kung kabati ka mo about UITF? Wala. Okay, UITF are instruments being issued by banks. So mga banks nag-issue sila unit investment trust fund. Tapos gina-regulate ni siya ni DSP. So this is an investment product 100%. Okay, investment products. So pwede siyang gina-invest na siya ni bank sa bonds, equities, and other assets nila para nga mag-gain ang imong money sa UITF. So that is one. Another is, there is what we call a mutual fund. Okay? Sino kabati sa mga mutual fund companies? COL Financial, Metrosec, sino na ang may nabalaan? Wala. Sige, mutual funds, ari naman niya, may ara, kita mga company, ganyan mutual funds company, mutual fund companies, example, amo to, COL Financial, Metrosec, so sila na iya, gina-regulate sila ni SEC, o ni Securities and Exchange Commission. So ginabantayan na sila para nga wala sang mga scammer na makasulod dira. So 100% sa imong money nga ginabutang mo diri, these are being invested to bonds, equities, and other assets para maka-create siya ng income for you. So you always have to think this is an investment. So this is a long-term pooling of funds. So meaning, if you invest monthly, you really have to think, hindi siya, there are, of course, there are options for you to invest one time, but may mga specific limitations siya. Na may minimum siya. Like for example, one time pero 100,000, one time pero 1 million, those things. So 100% invested. And this is where insurance companies come in, such as Blue Life UK. We do unit-linked life insurance fund. Why? Because here, if you put your money in unit investment trust fund and in mutual funds, all of your money are being invested, but you have no coverage for your life. For example, something happens, you are a parent, eventually if you become a parent soon, something happens to you, your wife or your spouse and your children will going to get in a guaranteed amount, no? If ever you pass away or kwaon ka na ni Lord, so you have done your purpose already, but what happens to the families of those who were left behind? So some of them, wala. Ika yung ila breadwinner na dula na. So wala naman sila sang pwede kwaan, no? So if you put your money in unit-linked life insurance, there is a guaranteed money pwede pa ka makagraduate, kay may ginbilin si tatay mo, si papa mo, si daddy mo sa inyong family. So bisan nga naglakat na siya sa heaven, may ara ka Japon sang fund nga makasigisigi ka eskwela. There's also nga may ara sila sang other benefits, no, if you put your money here, like for example may ara sang para sa critical illness nga pwede mo magamit if ever ma-diagnose ka, kesa kwaon mo ang fund sa imo savings. This one may guaranteed na amount, na big amount. Like for example, you have a coverage for 1 million, there is already 1 million for you if ever diagnose ka for any critical illness. At the same time, there is a portion of your money that is being invested to bonds, equities, and other assets. These are being offered by insurance companies, no? Tanan nga insurance companies ka-offer sini. So we have Blue Life UK, we have Sun Life, TDO Life, Manulife, tanan nga may life ka-offer ni sila nga product. Okay? We are regulated by the Insurance Commission. So this one, si Insurance Commission ang gabantay to ensure nga wala sang insurance company ang mag-deviate sa mga standards nga may ara sila. Kag sakto ang pag-regulate kag pag-offer sang product sa mga clients naton. Okay? So si ProLife UK have been #1 for 2 consecutive years in the Philippines, no? So we are a pioneer investment-linked life insurance company, and these are our products. Kasi if you put your money naman with us, so there are a number of instruments nga pwede natin butangan. Like for example, gusto mo may ara ka lang equity, 80%, tapos butangan mo siya bonds, tapos ang iban sa cash and other liquid assets, because tikita nyo man sa bonds to ya, medyo gamay lang ang growth sa money mo. Tapos kung ibutang mo siya ya sa stocks or equity, somehow you grow with the company kung sa tingin mo siya gina-invest. So we have clients na very aggressive, no? They want to really put their money all in equity. So we have that kind of fund. So depende rin if ever you have the option if you want to go for unit linked life insurance company. So you discuss with your financial advisor na you trust on which fund you want to put your money into. Yan. Pero here, as you can see, we also have funds nga nagahatag sa dividends. This is the cash flow fund wherein may ara siya dividends na ginahatag sa clients quarterly sa gina-invest niya. Pero this one kasi, these are big investments. You start with 100,000 with this kind of fund. For the others naman, you can do this on a monthly basis. Like for example, you set aside 3,000 pesos every month. So you can invest already on global emerging market dynamic funds. So that means there are US funds here, there are Asian funds here, sa Asia Pacific. So you do not only invest in the Philippines, also you invest in Asia. And of course, may ara nga US dollar bond fund lang siya. Yan. Yan. It really depends on what you are as an investment. So basically, you just have to talk with the financial advisor if ever you want to go into when you graduate. Second to the last tip is really if you want to invest, no? Number one is dapat balaan mo danay nga ga-invest ka. Most of the people nahadlok sila magbutang sa money nila nga gina-set aside nila because hambal nila may kakatabo nga magasto kung gid ang gina-invest ko because you are not sure. Anybody here who knows Chinkitan? Chinkitan, Bo Sanchez, anybody? Wala. Hi.
Good help.
Hi. Basi natuyo sila sa ako.
Anybody?
Anybody? Hello, hello.
One use means teaching kita.
Okay, very good. Sino ini? Sino to?
Yes,
Edward.
Miss.
I'm very happy. Gidya kay Edward. Very, very knowledgeable siya on what is happening on the social media, especially related to finances. Edward, di ba, Chinkitan introduced, if you have listened to him or if you have viewed a number of his videos, he is telling us about the envelope system. Have you heard about that?
Only lang miss ang segment lang miss nga mag-budget tayo miss at we find. That's what
that's what
I
you
know.
saw. Yeah.
The segment.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Good, Edward. Continue Continue ka lang. And you can also go into others. I highly suggest if you want to look into investing as well, you can subscribe to Fitz Puentebella. He's very good in terms of telling you or educating you about a number of instruments nga pwede mo pag-i-investan. I subscribe to him. Number one, identify mo kung nga aga-invest ka. Number one, for example, kaplano, pag gidya magbakal bala or gusto mo gidya magpatindog balay in 5 to 10 years. So if that is your objective, that's why you invest, then that is clear to you. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, tanawon mo kung ano ang nami na platform for you to really invest. If you think mas okay ka nga ikaw gauyat, or if mas okay may ara ka sang broker na gauyat for you, or if you want nga may ara siya yung upod nga insurance, imo na tanawon mo siya. But number three, the very important thing is regular naga-set aside ka money, because saving and investing is a habit. The same na siya sa kung paano ka magbugtaw everyday. Kung habit mo nagabugtaw ka alas 5, so you really have also to make sure that when you invest, this is a habit. It's gonna be automatic for you. Kasi one reason that some people failed at investing is because They put aside money now, but then they stop, and then later on, they also start again. So meaning, hindi nila nasusustain ng investment. And we know that if you do that, mas better, ma-trade ka na lang. Trade ka na lang sa market, hindi ka mag-invest. If gusto mo, yaan mo na. Mabutang ka subong, then kwaon mo naman. That's really not for investing. That's for trading. Investment naman niya, this is going to be a regular habit for you to really set aside a money for you to buy stocks or bonds. And the last thing nga wala kami, nga may ara ka mo is your age, no? Your youth, no? Ma'am Jo? Your youth, amo nang wala kami, nga may ara ka mo. Yes. Yes, do you know that your youth, your being young, your youthfulness or your being young is an asset? Because if you start early, even though you start with very little, for example, you start with 1,500, but you start early, you can beat those 50-year-olds or 40-year-olds na nag-start sila with 5,000 pesos a month. You can beat them because of, ano ganito, ang the best formula ever. What is that? Best formula ever, the compounding interest formula. Dira ka mo madaog. Because if you start early, no matter how small, you're gonna win in the long term because of that, because of the compounding interest formula. Sin una siya nag-invent man sa formula nga na is E equals MC squared. Yan. Those are the things that I can give you, or those are some tips that I can give you. It's really more of you really um, being intentional, being really intentional if you invest, because as you can see, it doesn't depend on the amount. It's gonna depend on the frequency and consistency. Okay, we know people, they put aside 100,000 pesos, tapos they invest it right away, tapos that's it. Tapos later on, they realize, ay, nag-down ang market, ano natabo sa 100,000 ko? Okay. Tapos wala sang checking, monitoring, there's nobody telling them, there's nobody giving them advice. That's why we are so blessed right now because there are a number of financial advisors and financial coaches who can really guide you and give you some inputs on what is really happening. Tapos, if ever you graduate, the first thing you really do if you earn your first income or your first salary, you have to really think or talk it over with a financial advisor para na whatever happens, you know that there is a plan for you already and you just don't know how time flies, no? Like for us, 2 years, nagali ang pandemic. If only I have saved 1,000 pesos per month, then I don't need to wait for the government to give me SAP, no? We don't need to rely to SSS when we retire at the age of 60 because we know that we have our own savings. We don't need to rely to the government for the 100,000 when we reach 100 years old, no? Because if you have really invested, di mag 100 years old ka, you have millions if you have started it by the age of 22 or 21. No? You don't need to wait for the government to give you those pensions and those things that they promised to us because di may ara kaya sa imo na yang gin-save para sa imo self kag para sa imo loved ones. So, basically, those are the tips, no, nga pwede ko mahatag sa inyo about investing. To share lang, no, last, so this is our company, this is ProLife UK. I know in Bacolod, there is ProLife UK. So, we are a subsidiary of Prudential PLC in the United Kingdom. Sino ang nakakilala? Sino ang nakatanaw Titanic? Please react heart, good. Sino nakatanaw Titanic? Diyos ko, ano na ning mga edad? Very good,
Yes, wala
John.
na nakilala.
May ara, Ma'am Jo. May
Ay, oo.
nag-heart. Si Jassy. At sila Titanic. Very good. Kabalo ka mo nga ang si Jack at si Rose, although mga fictional characters, but all of those, no, nga na very good man si Jose. All of those, no, nga unfortunately passed away because of the tragedy of the Titanic. the insurance company that paid their beloved families is Prudential PLC or Pru Life UK. Yeah, and so that's how old no our company is no in the insurance business. Tapos our fund manager or ang kauyat sa investment na part is not in the Philippines, it is based in Singapore. It's called Spring Investment. So we are the ones who pioneered insurance with investment in the Philippines. So si ProLife kinain nag-introduce nga may ara insurance at the same time may ara man investment. Isang una before nagsulod si ProLife sa Philippines, tanan nga insurance is insurance alone lang, wala upod nga investment. Yan. So basically our advocacy is what I do right now, which is really more on financial literacy and telling you that there are so many options available for you to really grow your money. I hope nobody is putting it in a piggy bank because number one, you are losing your money if you put it in the piggy bank. Number two, you are not helping the economy because you are withholding resources that could be used by others. Make it grow, very good. Kay Miss Pel, kay naga-online business siya, that's really very good because you are circulating the currency no, that we have. Do not, unless you put your money in the bank because you are really saving for something, ang kinahanglan easy access, that's very good because the reason why you put your money in the bank is really more on accessibility. No? But I hope you have your own budget formula. I cannot discuss it here, but I discussed it before, no? The budgeting formula or the worksheet that I present to clients wherein you must have either you follow 60-20-20 rule. You can wherein whatever money you have, for example, your allowance or the first income. My first salary when I work is only 5,000 pesos. So like for example, if you have 5,000 pesos, 60% of that is or 3,000 pesos. That's all you can spend. And then the remaining 2,000, that's your for investing. And another 2,000 is for you to really enjoy. So you can also follow 70-30-10. You spend 70%, 30% is more on your earning, is more on you investing. Tapos the remaining 10% is for your tithes. There are those who are really very religious when it comes to putting aside money for their spiritual growth. So you can put 10% there. There are also people who follow 20-20 formula. What is 20-20 formula? 20-20 formula is 20% of your income, you buy whatever you want. But there must be a corresponding 20% that you save or invest. For example, you want to buy an iPhone that is 30,000 pesos. If you do not have 60,000, you cannot buy an iPhone because the rule is, there are people who follow this, that if they buy a 30,000 gadget, they must also save 30,000 pesos or invest 30,000. Para nga, they ensure nga wala lang sila gaspend. There's also a counterpart na saving. So unless they have 60,000, they cannot buy an iPhone. Ano ba? Anong tag 30 ganyan? iPhone 11? Yan. Yan. So, for example, those are some formulas that you can follow, but there are a number of formulas that you can do. You can also have your own, for example, tidamo, gitsabalayran. You can have 80% for your expenses. You can put 10% for your investment, 5% for savings, tapos 5% tithes. Ikaw na yung maset para sa imo self. On how are you gonna do that? But the important thing is, you are saving your money for something. Do not spend it all. Because eventually, if you will be needing something, like for example, may nangayo sa imo, may kinahanglan alamutan, if ever, especially may ara ka mo salary, there are so many things ko pwede mo gastuson, or gastuhan, or balayran, or baklon. Gaubo siya tanan. Iban may ara, kita ginatawag petsa di peligro, may iban nga mga tao nga sa buwas pang sweldo, subong wala na sila allowance. So I hope that will not happen to you. I hope it is something that you will really prepare for, that you really have to budget, because you have to understand that you have spent so many years educating yourselves, but we are only spending 1 hour and a half now for you to understand personal financing, or for you to manage the income that you have based on the pila ka years of being educated, preschool, elementary, high school, college, even those number of years nga educate ka. Tapos there's you have so many years for you to have all the best income in the world. But you have to understand there will come a time wherein you will have to retire, that you will have no income. So you have to prepare for that. Second, you have to understand that while you are young and your expenses are really limited, there will also come a time wherein you will get married. Tapos you will have to spend for two. Tapos gusto mo pag itugangan, imo gastuhon, ti madugang kapag isang bata. Tapos gusto mo pag magdugang, imo gastuhon, so madugang kapag isa ka bata. Those things ba? So you have to understand that those are a number of considerations that you need to remember, especially if you are still young, to really prepare for these things or these expenses that you need in the future. Yes, money will not give you happiness, but money is a tool for you to be happy. So thank you so much. Miss Jo, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think when my questions, Tess, you can
Yeah,
try
and
to put it on the chat box, or you can just raise your hand. Hindi pa
yes.
man ka mo gutom, no? Gutom na. Pero Ma'am Roach, I think ang Excel sheet to bala for the computation kung
Mas okay ka
paano
to.
nila paano nila ma-determine if they have money. Though ano siya, the visual siya of their of the amount that they might
Sige.
be able to get later on. Tapos how do they spread it out that they could still get some savings. I think okay siya in a way that maybe their young minds doesn't understand yet, how money is spent. Even if ako na kayo, kahit ako na yung mga gastuhan. So small.
Ganip.
Guys, do you have questions?
Pero we can, Miss Jo, we can, if you still have time, we can create another class. But I think si worksheet naman, we can finish in 1 hour.
Yeah, maybe we could, maybe a follow-up. But I get two schedules already for the following week. So, like, ito siyang topic. Maybe we can try to find another schedule.
Yeah.
And we'll try to discuss the calculator sa Excel.
Yeah. Sige. Okay.
Thank you. Guys,
Ayun.
questions? You can raise your hand.
I think they're good. No? You can, I can create another class. I'll find time for you if you want to have the worksheet. But I hope that you have learned something new today, and you can use that in the future in your financial decisions. And I really pray that everyone are going to be responsible young adults to really manage your money, because our advocacy is to really help Filipino families have financial literacy. Thank you, everyone.
If you don't have questions, guys, we will not say goodbye to Miss Rutchel because we will have to see her some other time. So until the next meeting on Zoom. But also, Ma'am Roch, I have a few concerns. Kay ang iban wala nakasunod because of the 100 capacity. Is it alright if we use the schools? Kaya basi may mga
Okay.
iban nga na-invite na wala sila kasunod. So we can
Nakalimit
use,
lang.
oo siya, na 100 siya.
Sige.
Tapos gin-stop yun na. So maybe
Oh.
that's the next week, paano ta lang? Yung
Sige.
some of the, I actually invited some of the teachers, but for the kids to join in, they opt to move out from the meeting. So,
Yan.
but we'll try to make up for it maybe the next mga session with the Excel calculator and stuff.
Okay. Because I thought kasi it was the same the same number. Anyway, sige.
Wait, there's a question. Sorry, may pahabol. If you were to choose Miss between bonds and stocks, what is more efficient for new investors? Which has less risk?
Okay. I cannot answer which is more efficient, but I can answer which is less risk. Lindell, John, bonds have lesser risk compared to stocks because you are assured. For example, nag-utang si mo, yes, si Republic of the Philippines, for sure, bayaran ka gid niya. These bonds, amo ni siyang iban ginagamit ni Pag-ibig para magpa-loan, pero you have the bonds there. These are also used by some government naton ng mga corporations in having projects sa Philippines. So lesser ang risk, for sure mabayad ang government sa aton. Ang government man niya gapangutang man na sila sa World Bank para gamiton naton. Anyway, for new investors, for new clients that I have, I assess first kung ano siya nga klase investor. Like for example, how long niya i-allow ang money niya to stay in the market or to stay in the instrument. Number two, studyin ang kaya niya nga loss if ever in the future mag 30%, 20% down ang value. Then after a series of questions, then that's the time nga I can give a recommendation kung ano nga klase nga funds ang pwede niya investan. But basically, nami ang 50-50 for beginners. 50% bonds, 50% stocks. So these are some of options that I give to clients, pero very safe siya. Kasi like for example, kung magnami man ya ang economy, tigasaka ang stocks. Pero ang bonds somehow, kung 3 to 4%, ara lang ginada siya. But if you want to try, if you will have your work na soon, kag medyo hindi nyo pa kaya magkadto sa mutual fund or sa unit linked life insurance, you try Pag-ibig MP2. It has guaranteed return of 7 to 8% per year. Pero your money is going to be frozen with Pag-ibig MP2 by 5 years. So you cannot withdraw your money in 5 years. Yon. But it has a guaranteed return of 7 to 8% per year. Yon. Thank you. I hope I answered that, John. How to secure? Okay. Okay. Number one, John, you have to check if it is being registered to the Securities and Exchange Commission, if that is a mutual fund. Banks naman, tanan naman nga banks, balaan man naton, may mga ngalan na sila sa Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. If it is a mutual fund broker, dapat may registration sa Securities and Exchange Commission. If it is a life insurance company, it is under the Insurance Commission. So you have to check. May mga website na sila, so makita mo kung sino na ang mga legit. Very uso ang scammer. But the trend of the scammer, it is very uso, and it is very normal that they give you kita mo tong pinaka first feeling dyan, na una masadyahan ka. They will really give you the first payout. But later on, you will going to feel already nga gagamay or gadula na siya. But ang pinaka first is gusto niya na ang mga scammer gusto nila ipabatsyag sa imo nga ang feeling of euphoria nga wow, ang akon 5,000, may 5,000 na siya mabalik in 30 days. Basta mga amo na ang mga promisa, mga giving you sun and moon and the stars, for sure those are symptoms na of a scammer. Okay, yan. So I hope I answer that. Which is better, Miss? Government bonds or bonds of private companies? Do they have the same risk rate? I suggest government bonds. Private bonds, you have to check their credit risk because these are things na kinahanglan mo gid I am not an expert on these things. You have to consult a specific mutual fund manager if you want to look into a specific bonds, because I am a advisor of Life UK. So basically, ang nabalaan ko is more on unit-linked life insurance. But of course, we also do investment classes. So there are also investment certifications sa Amon. Risk rate, when it comes to risk, kasi iba-iba get. But I suggest you go for government bonds if you want to look into bonds. Okay. If you want to go into governments, into private companies, I suggest you look for companies na ara sa top 10, top 20 na ara sa stock exchange. Makita mo man na siya if you Google. And but if gusto mo gid ya nga tawag sini mabit mo bala ang performance ang kada companies na may averaging ka, you buy one unit, may unit na siya nga naka-bundle, and that's what mutual companies offer. That's what unit linked life insurance also offers, nga naka-bundle siya para somehow ang number of companies nga ara sa bundle magnami man performance ng isa, mag-down ng isa, may nag-leverage. Kag ako, wala ko ga direct invest. Before, I have with Regina Capital, may ara ko, Miss Jo, but ginko ako because kabudlay, magbantay, natakaan ko magbantay. Personally, mas okay na ko magabayad na lang sa fund manager because syempre, if you are busy already with a number of work that you have, mas okay na lang nga, you check on a monthly basis, how is it performing? Tapos you pay a minimal amount to a fund manager. Yeah. Thank you. Anything else?
Regina, pwede wala ka naman yung bisitahan actually.
Pero timining may ara ka pa to. Ako gin-claim
wala
ko na.
Wala ko na trade. Gin pa dong
Sige,
ako
sige mo lang.
yung mindset is ipag-grow ko na siya eventually
Yeah.
kung inubo siya sa mataas mo na siya after some
Gani.
so
Correct.
yung mindset ko yan. So gin-assume ko
Bayan mo
siya
lang.
sa imo nga yung mindset na sige, amo na ni siyang amount nga umutang ko lang na manaog man na ang market or masaka para lang dito na siya. So,
Yeah.
wala lang yan. Kung kisa lang, ka-check ko time to time sa stocks. Bloomberg, yun din. Pero hindi, ganda mo naka-religious. Tapos wala din ko nag-trade. Never din ko nag-trade sa stocks.
Abad. Oo.
May mga, kung sa Regina, may ano sila, may percentage sila sa sales mo man. Kung ipa-trade, sila pa-trade mo.
Yeah. May ara. May ara sila. Commission.
May commission basis. Kung sila kayo, kung sila ang ibaligyan. Anyway,
Again
other
with whole.
things class, may ara ka mo ano. Pero nag-try man ko siyang atram. And then right now, may BPI, G-Invest. May ara na sila. So, pang ano lang.
Very.
Pang lang.
Yeah. Like for example, sa allowance nila, like 2,000 pesos ang allowance. They can save bisan 200 pesos. That's all right. Basta regularly, like every allowance day, they put aside 200. That's already too much. That's already enough. Kesa naman, they put the 200 pesos to, ano ba yung ginagastuhan yung feeling nyo wala man balik. For example, you drink coffee with a Starbucks unless that's really necessary. That's 150 pesos, 125 pesos in Starbucks or in some other nga kapihan nga mahal. Like for example, you can sacrifice 3 milk teas for 200 pesos, but eventually you know that if you let go that now, eventually in the future, ara. Basta if you have spare, like for example, spare mo 200 para wala ka man sa guilt feelings, you can divide the 200 pesos, 100 savings, 100, I will enjoy this. That's the 2020 rule actually. Na if what you have remaining is only 500 pesos after, but you have to save first. What is important is save first, spend the remaining. Kasi if you spend first, save the remaining, for sure, wala, di na may babilin. Do you agree, class? Class. Basta,
I think kakatabo na. Correct na, no? Sino, be? Mamanukso, ubala kay wala gasabat. Be? Teacher, niya. Gusto
kung ano, di ba, Miss Jo?
Alba.
Si Maureen. Yes, Maureen, no? Kung pila unod, kung pila allowance, ubos, kinaya, kung spend mo anay. But pag abot sang allowance ni mo rin, if ginbutang, gintago, yan na nga ng 100, kay invest yan na. If you invest in G-Invest right now, kasi amo lang nang pwede ko masuggest, kasi 100 pesos lang de. Hindi mo siya ma-withdraw. Kung di, pwede mo siya i-sell. Pero, it would take you 6 days para may ara siya balik. Tinatak-an ka man. Kaya nga, ay, magulat ko gali 6 days. Hindi ko gali siya pagbaligya. Yon. So, mas ara. Di siya bala magstay. Tapos, if you have 200 pesos nga bilin, nga iset aside, bahala ka na din sa bilin. Paano mo siya paigoon? Sacrifice ka lang gamay sa imo itong mga ginabakal sa una, buhin-buhinan mo gamay. Yan. So I hope you have learned.
Ay, sorry.
Wala. Miss Jo, si Jairi Alba.
Ay, okay lang. Nag-raise hands naman dyan si Maureen.
Okay, sige. Sorry. Yan. So, do you have any questions? Sorry, may message.
Naka-quiet
Miss
na
Jo.
sila.
Gani. Miss,
Basta nagutom na ni.
Gani. So I would like to thank you, Miss Jo, for inviting me again to your class. And I'll see you next week sa Operations Management. This is really an advocacy of mine to really talk more about personal finance, because personally we were not taught at home on how to manage our finances. So I hope that everyone will be responsible enough, no? If you were not guided on this one, you can learn on your own, or you can talk to somebody. If you want advices, you can PM me. Now, Miss Jo, you can my name in Facebook is Rutchel Alimen Embultura. So you can PM me if you have questions, and I am going to answer that as much as I am capable of answering. I highly suggest that you think about your own personal self, because amo na gani tawag sa work kahanap buhay, because we want to really ensure that what we earn is going to sustain us to live. It is not something that we're gonna enjoy just for one day and then suffer the remaining 14 days. So I hope it before the next payday. So I hope that if you will be having your first salary, you have to think really of a budgeting scheme that you can follow, which we can further discuss in the future, if I hope we can have. But if you want to have a one-on-one session with me to have a worksheet or budgeting worksheet discussion, then I would be much willing to really discuss that with you. So I hope this is good. This is a fruitful morning for everyone, and I hope you have learned something to really apply on. Let us not only make the companies that we work for be profitable. Let us also ensure that the company that we have ourselves will be profitable also in the future, by ensuring that we have the right knowledge and skills to grow the money that we have worked so hard when we are already working. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So
May picture na ko.
Ay, na-picture ka na. Very
Yeah.
good. So, what we can really say is really thank you for sharing your time and then the knowledge. Some of it might not be very familiar yet. Just giban ka digest pa. Or maybe if they could message you, or if we could have another session, at least ma-clear out any vague areas. But really, thank you very much as always, and we always wish you a very safe and healthy week and the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Miss Jo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Good luck
you,
on your
everyone.
graduation. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
See you next
Miss.
week.
Thank you, Miss.
Yes.